Hello and welcome back to ERU, where we round up the biggest results and talking points from across European football. What a weekend across Europe. Over here in England, we had Yuri Tielemans' magnificent goal in the FA Cup, securing Leicester their first FA Cup trophy. There was obviously Atleti's dramatic late victory. It was all kick off in Liga. Borussia Dortmund secured Champions League football as well. What a weekend. Joining me today is Mike McCubs. McCubs, have you come down from the highs of this weekend just yet?
Just about. I mean, we didn't even mention Alisson's last minute winner, did we? Yeah, it was pretty mad, and even in Italy, it was pretty mad too. Obviously, the top four races coming down to the final day as well. Can't wait for Milan versus Atalanta next weekend. But yeah, not doing too badly, Dukes. What about yourself?
Yeah, I'm all good, thank you. I had a nice weekend. My mum was down this weekend, so I had a nice weekend. A little bit of Pizza Express, a little bit of a pub lunch. So no, it was ideal. I hope you had a good weekend too. But let's crack on with our story of the week, because there is a lot of news coming out of Real Madrid right now that they are about to replace Zinedine Zidane with Max Allegri. And this was suggested by @Zidane's barber, who must have some inside knowledge after trimming Zidane's, couple of strands that he's got remaining. But McCubs, what's going on with this story?
Yeah, it's a bit of a mad one, isn't it? Goal.com, I think, initially broke this, that Zidane has already told his Real Madrid squad that he'll walk away from the club at the end of this season, irrespective of where they finish. These are claims that Zidane has since refuted. He said that he's not said anything to his players and that it would have been stupid to do so, without denying anything in terms of him staying or leaving, to be fair. So this story does seem at least relatively legitimate. Real obviously kept their hopes alive of a second successively Liga title by beating Athletic Club 1-0 last night, thanks to a goal from Nacho. They're 2 points behind Atleti with one game to go. They play Villarreal. Atleti's travel to 19th place Real Valladolid. So I think most people are expecting Atleti to get the job done. However, I think we can all agree that Zidane has done a pretty marvellous job in keeping Real in this title race this season. But the coach is said to be mentally exhausted. Obviously came back to the club 2 years ago after those disastrous spells from Lopetegui and Solari. Led the club to their 34th Liga title last summer. Obviously got them to the Champions League semi-finals this year. And ahead of this weekend's game, Zidane was quoted as saying, "I don't know what will happen. I'm here. Tomorrow we play. The rest, anything can happen. It's Real Madrid." Which seemed to, I guess, throw a bit of uncertainty into what's going to happen at the Bernabeu this summer. It would obviously be an emotional exit for the Frenchman, who made 230 appearances for the club as a player. He won a title and the Champions League. There, obviously, that classic volley against Bayer Leverkusen, securing the triumph in 2002, and 11 trophies as a manager, including obviously those 3 consecutive Champions Leagues. And all the talk seems to be about him taking over at Juventus. Obviously, they are, they are well known to be big admirers of Zidane, aren't they? Over the last few years, I think they would have had him over Pirlo if he was available last summer. But yeah, I think this would probably be it, though, wouldn't it? I couldn't see Zidane returning for a third time to Real, so it really would be an emotional goodbye. And as for who would replace him, there is a 3-man shortlist. Max Allegri is the favourite, as you already said, Dukes. Raul, who obviously is a Real Madrid legend and currently coaches Castilla, although he's also been touted for the Eintracht Frankfurt job, which I think would probably be more suitable for him at this stage. And Joachim Low, obviously the Germany manager whose time in charge of the Mannschaft will come to an end this summer. And I think Allegri is clearly the outstanding candidate of those 3. I don't back Joachim Low to make that transition into club football at one of the biggest clubs in the world. That seems absurd. I think Raul, although obviously keeping it in house would be, culturally a good thing for Real Madrid, I guess. I think he doesn't necessarily have the experience, although Zidane proved that wrong when he took over. But Dukes, what would Allegri bring if he was hired?
Yeah, I agree with you in terms of the other candidates. I think Joachim Low, Germany's recent results haven't been great as well. He's been so ingrained in that German national setup as well. I think he's been in there since about since post-Euro 2004. Or did he come in under Klinsmann as his assistant first of all? So he's been in there for a long, long time. But in terms of Allegri, well, he'd certainly bring a winning mentality. He obviously won a league title with Milan in 2011, finishing 6 points clear of Inter Milan that season. That was the Rossoneri's last remaining Scudetto. And then he won 5 consecutive titles with Juventus, 4 of which included a cup double too. He's also managed Juve to 2 Champions League finals, one in 2015, where they lost 3-1 to Barcelona, and then to Zidane's Real Madrid, where they lost 4-1 in 2017, which I believe was the game that featured that Mario Mandzukic golazzo, which is still never really talked about enough. What a goal that was. He's known as an excellent defensive coach, really, but then it's difficult to know what he is, really, because he's only ever been working with one particular squad for a serious amount of time. And obviously, when you've got Barzagli, Bonucci, Chiellini, you're going to have a pretty good defence. But the old lady conceded an average of 25 league goals per season across his 5-year spell, helping them to win 70% of his games in charge. He only had one season, however, where they scored over 77 league goals in a single campaign, which was 2017-18, when they scored 86. That was the season where Dybala got 22, and I think Higuain got close to 20 as well. But there is a slight concern in that since he was replaced by Maurizio Sarri in charge of Juve, he's been overlooked for the Bayern Munich job, obviously recently, which went to Julian Nagelsmann. He's been overlooked for the PSG job, which went to Pochettino, and the Chelsea job, of course, which went to Thomas Tuchel in January time. So he hasn't really been in the reckoning for those top jobs. Maybe he didn't want to take them. Maybe he wasn't ready at that particular time. But maybe that's a slight, concern at the back of people's minds that why has he been overlooked for these top jobs? The alternatives, though, as we mentioned, Marco already getting behind Raul. He started his coaching badges at Al Sadd. He joined Real Madrid's youth setup in 2018. He won the club's first ever UEFA Youth League and is now trying to lead Castilla in a playoff push in the out of the Segunda Division. He's won 16 trophies with the club as a player and scored 323 goals, a figure only topped by Ronaldo's 450. But Zidane, was assistant under Carlo Ancelotti before taking over. I think he got to know the squad a lot better. I think Raul would be a certain risk, and I think Eintracht Frankfurt is a much better stepping stone for Raul, who will get this Real Madrid job if he wants it, I'm sure, in the next 20 years at some stage. So there's almost no rush. It feels a bit like Frank Lampard and Chelsea. You don't have to go for it straight away. I think the sensible option for Real Madrid right now would be Max Allegri, and I'd be excited to see what he could do with this squad as well. Obviously he needs a bit of turnover, but they've got some great depth in certain positions, some talented youth players coming through. Obviously he might slightly regret the fact they've sold a lot of talented youth players in the last few years, Theo Hernandez, Hakimi, Marcus Llorente, Kovacic, etc. But, Real Madrid have surprised us all this year in how well they've kept in this La Liga title race, albeit some of Atleti's problems in the last few months have sort of kept them in it through some sort of bad performances as well. So it'll be interesting to see what happens here. But guys, we want to hear from you. Would Max Allegri be a good replacement for Zidane? And do Juventus need to replace Andrea Pirlo? Would Zidane be a good fit there? Get your thoughts in the comments down below. And let's move on to our result of the week.
Our result of the week comes in from @AviY2J on Twitter. And Dukes, Atletico Madrid, what went down against Osasuna? What a game that was.
Oh, absolutely mental scenes in La Liga yesterday. And we were spoiled for choice in terms of a result of the week. We could have talked about Dortmund's victory, which secured Champions League football. We could have talked about PSG's crushing victory over Reims, which moves them to within 1 point of Lille in the race for Liga. But we had to discuss Atleti's 2-1 comeback win over Osasuna, secured through late goals, from Renan Lodi and Luis Suarez, which kept Atleti 2 points clear of Real Madrid with 1 game to go. Now, in terms of the stats, very much a deserved victory for Atleti. They had 73% possession, 26 shots with 9 on target to Osasuna's 5 and 2. XG had it at 3 to 0.7 in Los Rojiblancos' favour. That's actually the most XG they've created in a single La Liga game this season since that opening day crushing 6-1 victory over Granada. And after peppering Osasuna with 16 shots in the first half, they took a shock lead when Ante Budimir headed in Ruben Garcia's cross. Excellent header. Great attempted save from Jan Oblak as well with that left hand, but it was over the line. Now, that's the 29-year-old Croatian's 11th goal in 29 La Liga games this term and his 4th in his last 3. But Atleti equalised in the 82nd minute. It was a great goal. João Felix sort of played a lofted through ball over the top to Renan Lodi, who arrowed in a left-footed shot into the top right-hand corner. And he'd only come on for Hermoso 16 minutes earlier, so exactly the sort of impact they were looking for Renan Lodi, who's kind of been Simeone's forgotten man this year, with Carrasco playing so much at left wing back. He's kind of, after a promising first campaign after arriving from Brazil, including some great performances in the Champions League against Liverpool, I seem to remember, Renan Lodi hasn't really featured that much, so that was an absolutely massive goal for him. And as the clock was about to enter injury time, Yannick Carrasco sort of delayed his cross on the right-hand side. Great footwork from him, then laid it on a plate for Luis Suarez, who else, of course, to score his 20th La Liga goal of the season. And it was an important goal, obviously. Suarez's goal not only kept Atletico Madrid in the driving seat for La Liga, but combined with Barcelona's shock 2-1 defeat to Celta Vigo at home, the fourth time in 5 games that they've dropped points, that means that Blaugrana can no longer win the title. They're obviously 6 points behind Atleti as it stands, so that decision to sell Luis Suarez to Atleti looks even worse for Barcelona. But McCubs, obviously, this was just a massive win. Crucial, they had to get it done.
Yeah, this was such an important victory for Atleti. Obviously, Real extended their unbeaten run to 17 games with that 1-0 victory over Athletic Club. So this was, doubly crucial that they got the points here. And yeah, with 15 minutes to go and seeing Real Madrid, as things stood, top of the table. It really did look like Simeone's men had bottled it, despite, like you say, Dukes, being completely dominant throughout the game. They should have been 3-0 up by half-time, to be honest. But yeah, now the title is within their grasp. If they beat Valladolid on the final day, they will win the title. However, Valladolid, despite being 19th, are only 2 points from safety, so they still very much have something to play for. So if Atleti draw that game against Valladolid and Real Madrid beat 7th placed Villarreal, who obviously thrashed 10-man Sevilla 4-0 yesterday, then Los Blancos will reclaim the title on head-to-head. Obviously they drew more recently 1-1 at the Wanda, but Atleti lost 2-0 away from home on the 12th of December. So it really could come down to that head-to-head record. They have very similar records across the season otherwise. Atleti have won one more game, but they've both lost 4. They've both scored 65 goals, and Atleti have only conceded 3 fewer. So yeah, if it came down to goal difference, then Atleti would have it in those circumstances. For Osasuna, this game had very little riding on it. They're 11th, 2 points behind 9th placed Athletic Club. They haven't finished lower than 11th actually since being promoted in 2018-19. Key performers in this game, Marcos Llorente was very good, as he has been all season. 2 tackles, 1 dribble, 92% pass accuracy, 4 key passes and 2 shots from his position on the right there. Luis Suarez completed a dribble, had 7 shots, obviously got the all-important goal, but had hit the woodwork earlier in the game. Man of the match, though, has to be Kieran Trippier after what has been another excellent season for him, ban aside. 2 tackles and interceptions, 4 aerial duels, 1 dribble, 5 key passes, provided the cross for Savic's offside goal. So yeah, great game for him. A great performance in general, I think, from Atletico. And yeah, just great to see their celebrations at the end with Simeone running down the tunnel. But yeah, we really can't wait for next Sunday. Let us know who you think is going to take the La Liga crown. Can you see Real causing an upset on that final day? Can you see Valladolid taking points off Atleti? Or do you think that the crown is going back to Simeone after 7 years? Let us know in the comments below, and let's move on to our star of the week.
Now for our star of the week, we wanted to talk about Juve's 3-2 win over Inter Milan, which keeps alive their Champions League hopes. And we've gone with Juan Cuadrado, despite some person replying to my tweet saying, please don't mention Juan Cuadrado, because he didn't necessarily have the best game, but he's had a phenomenal season, and we wanted to mention him. This came in from Adel Khalifa 028. What went down in this game, McCubs, and what was Cuadrado's role?
Yeah, I mean, we say he didn't have the best game, but he still made a decisive impact, didn't he, in their dramatic 3-2 victory over, champions Inter Milan, in a game that, featured 3 penalties, 2 red cards and an own goal. It really had it all, perhaps missing some genuine quality player. I was watching this game on and off on Saturday, and I was a little bit disappointed by it, actually. The referee ended up taking centre stage in those final 30 minutes. But nevertheless, it was incredibly dramatic, especially at this point in the season, and especially with so much riding on it for Juve. And yeah, the 32-year-old Colombian, played a key role on the right of Pirlo's 4-4-2. Danilo was behind him at right back this time. So yeah, Cuadrado playing a more advanced role than perhaps he's been used to this season, even though even when he has played right back, he has been, incredibly productive going forward. 2 interceptions from him, 1 dribble, 2 key passes, 2 shots, both of which ended up in the back of the net. 1 deflected strike from about 25 yards out, which put them 2-1 ahead. And then another, which was the penalty. Obviously, Ronaldo had gone off by that point, so he took it from the spot and secured the 3 points. Which really did look out of their grasp at one point in those last 10 minutes, didn't they? This was a massive win for them, given they played the final 35 minutes with 10 men after Rodrigo Bentancur was sent off for a second yellow. And they only had 41% possession. I think Inter controlled the game. However, Juve did create the better opportunities, obviously had those 2 penalties as well. They had 13 shots with 6 on target to Inter's 8 and 3. XG had it at 3.1 to 1.3, but again, I think those penalties had a big part to play in that, especially as Ronaldo's goal was a rebound off the penalty. But nevertheless, a massive win for Andrea Pirlo going into that final game. But Dukes, back to Cuadrado, because like we said, he has had a magnificent campaign.
Yeah, I mean, he's one of the 2, I think, sort of golden oldies that I think have gone slightly under the radar this year. I think no one's really talked about Thomas Müller that much, and no one's really talked about Juan Cuadrado, who has been excellent all season. He's played 35 League and Champions League games, provided 2 goals and 16 assists, 6 of which were in the Champions League, which was the most in the competition. And he's reached double figures for league assists for the first time in his career, which is no surprise really when he's averaging 1.9 key passes per 90 from right back, which rises to nearly 4 in the Champions League, which was the most in the competition there as well. So really creative campaign from him. I think he's been excellent. His injury record's been really solid for a 32-year-old as well. His energy on that right-hand side. And he's just a cool operator as well. Never seems flustered by any occasion. Always can guarantee a sort of 7 out of 10 performance. I think he's excellent. This was Juve's 3rd win in 4 games, but Napoli's 2-0 win over Fiorentina and AC Milan's draw with Cagliari means that Bianconeri stay 5th. They're just 1 point behind Napoli and the Rossoneri, but they have an even head-to-head record with Napoli, but a worse one with AC Milan and a worse goal difference than Napoli. So that game against Bologna next weekend, it's absolutely massive. All 3 sides could potentially miss out on Champions League football, depending on how results go. But it's not really looking too... It's basically Juve have to win that game and hope AC Milan slip up. Because, if it goes down to head-to-head, then AC Milan go through. And Napoli have a much better goal difference than them with an even head-to-head record. So it can't be even at the end of this game. So we'll see what happens. I mean, McCubs, if you had to get your crystal ball out, who's finishing in the top 4? Atalanta and Inter already confirmed.
You know what? I actually think, I was thinking about this earlier, I actually feel like, because going to Atalanta is just such a difficult game, and I think Atalanta are going to be very determined to secure that 2nd spot, aren't they? I think Milan might miss out. I really think Milan might miss out, which is really cruel because they had such an amazing start to the season, didn't they? And so many standout performers in that side, and I was really looking forward to seeing Milan back in the Champions League, but I do think they might miss out on it next week. That's my call. I think Pioli's going to miss out.
I just feel quite bruised after they thrashed Juve 3-0 just a couple of weekends ago, but drawing 0-0 with Cagliari, that's a massive mistake. And I saw Pioli come out this morning and say, it would be a disappointment, but it wouldn't be a failure to not finish in the top 4. And I just don't know how you can have that mentality after leading the league for so long up until January. So really disappointing end to the season for the Rossoneri if they don't secure top 4. If they do, that's kind of job done, but the least they could expect after the start to the season they had. But anyway, guys, that's all we've got time for on ERU for this week. I hope you guys enjoyed our roundup of all the best action from across Europe. I mean, McCubs, if they did enjoy this and they want to go watch more Euro Football Daily content, what do you think they should go watch next?
Yeah, they should go and watch the EFD Explains from the weekend about multi-club ownership. That's really, really good. And go and watch last week's Continental Club, where we looked at players who have been wasted by their clubs this season. I think that's about it.
Absolutely. Thanks very much for watching, guys. We'll catch you next time. Bye.